What is going on, everybody? Cabana Greg here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at my top 10 most played PS4 games by total hours. Now there's a great channel on YouTube, Mystic Games. He does a lot of awesome content, mostly PlayStation stuff. He did one of these videos recently, and I'll leave a link to his channel down below. And I thought it'd be interesting to take a look and see, what are some of the most played games that I had played back on the PlayStation 4. And Sony's been keeping track of all of this metadata, how many hours you've played for certain games and, just general metrics around your gameplay. And so on your PS5, right, you can actually see now how many hours total you've spent on certain games. Now, it's not the most accurate thing in the world, totally not the most accurate thing from what I've gathered. I think the PlayStation 5 captures that information differently depending on the game. I think when the game is suspended or in a pause state, that, doesn't really contribute to the total hours played. But I thought it'd be interesting to take a look and see, what were some of the most played games that I had back on the PlayStation 4. Guys, if you are new to the channel here, maybe consider subscribing if you do want to see more stuff like this. And if you are a returning viewer, a returning subscriber, super appreciate you coming back for more stuff like this. Alrighty, without further ado, let's actually take a look and see what my top 10 most played games are here. And we're starting off with number 10. This is Dreams, coming in at 80 hours. I actually recently did a platinum review for Dreams, kind of just giving an overview on, what the platinum trophy looks like for Dreams. If you have any interest in that, I will leave a link to that down below. But yeah, Dreams, 80 hours, that sounds about right. This is more of a recent thing too. I played this game on my PS5, but it is a PS4 game. So, that's kind of why it's showing up here. But yeah, most of that time was spent creating levels, playing other people's levels, and then also just, grinding out the remaining, I think it's 15 levels or so to get the final trophy that I need for the platinum trophy. But Dreams is a great game. I really love Media Molecule. I've praised them up and down. I think they're an amazing development studio. I'm not sure what is going to happen over there now that things are, drastically changing at Sony and sort of how they're managing Media Molecule. I really hope that doesn't impact, the studio too much, because they make some awesome games. And Dreams is one of them. Next, above Dreams, we've got Fallout 4 coming in at 84 hours. So Fallout 4, I was pretty excited for this one. Fallout 3 is still my favorite Bethesda game that I've personally played. I'm not a big Skyrim person, to be honest, and while I love New Vegas, Fallout 3 just did a lot of things right. And it was unlike anything I'd ever played at the time, and it still holds a special place in my heart. So I love Fallout 3. I can't really say anymore. I just love Fallout 3. And Fallout 4, while it's not perfect, it's still a decent experience. It is definitely not like my favorite Bethesda game. It is not anywhere close to New Vegas or Fallout 3. It's a solid effort here, and I did play quite a bit of it, and I enjoyed it to the point where I ended up platinuming the game, and I did spend 80 hours in it, but still 80 hours is not anything in comparison to what I used to spend in like Fallout 3 and New Vegas, where hundreds of hours at the minimum per save file, and there were multiple. So Fallout 4, not my favorite, but not the worst thing in the world. So that's number 9 at 84 hours. And then squeaking in here at number 8 is Little Big Planet 3 at 85 hours. Now, Little Big Planet 3 had a pretty bad launch. It had a lot of bugs, technical issues, crashes. Like, it wasn't in a good state when it launched, and so I totally get why people sort of dropped off and stopped playing it. But overall, I really enjoyed Little Big Planet 3, and I stuck with it while the team, continued to support the game and patch the game and just kind of provide general support for the game. And ultimately, it actually is one of my favorite games from the PlayStation 4 era, and I played a lot of this with my floor mates in college. Like, we played a ton of Little Big Planet 3. We played a lot of custom games, played a lot of mini golf on Little Big Planet 3. Honestly, this was one of the more popular games amongst my group of friends in college. Like, we played Little Big Planet 3 quite a bit, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, Little Big Planet 3, ultimately I think they did a good job with it. I love the new sack characters like Swoop. So that's Little Big Planet 3, 85 hours, and yeah, big fan of Little Big Planet 3. Next here we've got Death Stranding at 87 hours, and I'm a little surprised by this one. I could have sworn I had spent even more time in this world, but I guess 87 hours is the number that PlayStation is saying I played the game for. I think it's more like 100 plus hours, to be honest. especially since I went back and I played the director's cut on PS5 and I got the platinum for that as well. It's probably well over 120 hours that I spent collectively on Death Stranding here. So Death Stranding, I know, was a very divisive game, or it still is a divisive game, in a lot of groups, but ultimately I think it came out at a very interesting time in general. It came out right around the time of COVID, I believe, like sort of when peak, COVID was sort of in flux and just things were going on, right? The amount of just calm that I felt while playing this game, it was kind of more just relaxing in a lot of weird ways, because you're just delivering packages in this very desolate and open, just empty world, right? Where you're kind of barely interacting with people. And it just kind of felt very eerie in that sense, because a lot of what was going on in the game mirrored what was going on in real life. But, I really had a good time with Death Stranding. I totally understand people that don't love this game, that have issues with it. That's fine. But for me, I really did get something out of it. And I am looking forward to the sequel, so I'm sure that will be great, just like this one was for me. But Death Stranding, 87 hours, at least in terms of what's captured here, but I've definitely played way more than that overall. Next here we've got Battlefield 4 at 90 hours. This one was a little interesting to me when I saw this, to be fair. I didn't realize I had played that much of Battlefield 4. I did remember myself getting really into Battlefield 4 at the time, because it was one of the early PlayStation 4 titles that I had bought and played pretty excessively. And the other thing with Battlefield 4 though is that when this launched as well, this had a lot of bad game-breaking bugs, and in fact my save file got corrupted. So I'm betting the 90 hours played here is because I had to essentially restart the campaign a second time from the beginning, and so I'm sure that factors into the hours played here. Technical issues aside, I still enjoyed Battlefield 4. The multiplayer aspect to it was enjoyable, and I think this is the bulk of where I spent my time. But it's still one of those things where I preferred Battlefield Bad Company 2. I still think that is like my favorite Battlefield game, and I am sure if I was able to see what the metadata was around my play history with that game on PS3, it would probably be in the hundreds of hours. Overall though, Battlefield 4, not my favorite Battlefield game, but it's also not my least favorite one. And I think 90 hours, yeah, I'm pretty fine with 90 hours being spent in this game. Next, we've got FIFA 15 here at 96 hours. This was another game that was pretty popular amongst my friends and myself in university, in college. We played quite a bit of this, and there were a lot of competitions that we had amongst people on our floor. We all kind of just, crowded around the TV to watch other people play. It was one of those just communal experiences that drove a lot of people to, want to play. And ultimately, I think more than any other game, this was the most played game while I, was in college. Like, everybody wanted to play FIFA, everybody wanted to compete against each other, everybody wanted to be on teams, and so it was a really fun, electric sort of game to just have at that time. And I remember FIFA 15 pretty fondly. I had a great time with it. I learned a lot of the just general mechanics that you need to play other people online, and it was really fun. It's definitely one of those games where I think back to it and I'm like, yeah, that was a really awesome experience, one of a kind, and I'm happy to see it this high up in the overall list here, just because we all did play this game quite a bit, and it shows at 96 hours here, and I'm sure it's probably more like 100 plus hours, but 96 is still pretty impressive, I think, for FIFA 15. Next above that is Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection at 119 hours. This one's interesting because I think I got this on the PS5 and it had a PS4. I think it was a cross-buy sort of situation. So I'm not too sure exactly how the 119 hours are aggregated and sort of displayed here. It is a combination of Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy. So I guess this is kind of two games in one sort of entry here. So Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy collectively is probably around like 120 hours, which makes sense because I did platinum both of those games, which required multiple playthroughs, and so it wasn't like a very quick process by any means at all. Uncharted 4 is definitely one of those games that I've come around to. I can't really tell you which sort of where it falls with my overall rankings. I'd have to replay all of the games again to kind of get an idea of that. But I do know that for a fact that Uncharted 4 has sort of gone up in my rankings. I do appreciate it more and more as time has gone on. And Lost Legacy, I think, is sort of a hidden gem and sort of underappreciated, underconsidered within this franchise. And I actually think Lost Legacy is better than some of the main series Uncharted games. So, having said that, I love both games for different reasons. And I'm happy to see this one so high up on the list here at 119 hours. Next, we've got Bloodborne. This is 124 hours played. Bloodborne's my favorite Soulsborne game. Yes, and I've played Elden Ring. Like, I've played pretty much every Soulsborne game. And I still think Bloodborne is my favorite. And I'm really surprised it's only 124 hours, I think I played the original Demon Souls on PS3 for like 300, 400 plus hours. So a little surprised. I'm wondering if this metric is a little off here. But Bloodborne is definitely my favorite of the Soulsborne games. I love the gothic atmosphere, like the gothic architecture, the atmosphere, the music. Everything about this game is just very unique and one of a kind. And I'm really hoping that other people can try this out, maybe in a remastered format and sort of updated version of the game. But if you haven't had a chance to check out Bloodborne, it is excellent. It is really something special, and I highly recommend it for sure. Next one on the list here at a staggering 654 hours, Jesus, is Overwatch 2/Overwatch in general. So yeah, this is a huge jump from Bloodborne. This is a big change here. This is the second, by the way, most played PS4 game that I have here. And yeah, Overwatch 2 was one of those things where when it came out, every single night I would hop on and play maybe 4 or 5 hours at the least with a few of my friends. And, we would do this every single night after work. This makes sense, 654 hours. I'm actually surprised it's not even more than that, because we did play every single night for multiple hours, and it was a blast. I still think that early stages of Overwatch for me remain as like my most favorite memories. Those are great times. Played with a lot of awesome people, met a lot of awesome people, and it was sort of peak for the game as a whole, in my opinion. And Overwatch 2 has been good. I still think there's some room for improvement, right? But most of my time spent was in the base, vanilla Overwatch 1. I'm sure it's about like 500 or so hours just spent playing that game. And then I played quite a bit of Overwatch 2 when it launched. Not nearly as much, just because time had gone on, other priorities came into other priorities kind of came up, and I didn't really play as much with my original friend group that I had played a lot of Overwatch 1 with, just because of everybody was playing different games, and so I just kind of played a lot of Overwatch 2 solo. But again, Overwatch in general, I played a lot of it, obviously, and I remember just having a great time with it overall. So yeah, I guess it doesn't surprise me that it's this high up, but I didn't expect it to be 654 hours overall. But yeah, that's Overwatch 2. And finally, at number 1, and this totally makes sense, is Destiny. 741 hours. I don't know what it was about this game, but it came out during one summer. I can't remember, but it came out a while ago. I think it was like $20. It was very cheap. It was on sale at like Target. I picked it up. Didn't really expect to like it at all, and to my surprise, I was incredibly enamored by it. I was hooked. Wanted to get the best weapons. Wanted to farm resources. Spec out my warlock and just do all these different things that I never thought I would be interested in the first place. And I think this game is the only game I played the one summer that I had off. There was one summer where I pretty much just played this game exclusively. I worked and then I played this game every night. So this doesn't surprise me at all, actually, because when I think about every game that I've played on my PS4, this one just kind of consumed a lot of my free time. I was doing these raids and these fire strike missions, grinding resources, right? Grinding weapons and materials. And I spent a lot of time trying to, beef up my character. And, it's funny because I've logged into the servers recently, as maybe earlier this year. And I was looking through all of the stuff that I had earned and was just being wow, I really spent a lot of time playing this game to get pretty much every item, exotic weapon, legendary weapon. It's one of those things where I'm kind of proud of how much time I put into it, because I really enjoyed it. I don't know what it was about the very base vanilla Destiny, but I had a good time with it. I still think Destiny 2 is like far better, but Destiny 1 is one of those things where I'm like, it just, for some reason it hooked me in. It was sort of special in the sense that it kind of made me play games a little bit differently, and it did sort of draw me into this very different type of experience that I never expected to enjoy as much as I did. But yeah, that is Destiny, and that is the most played PS4 game at, again, 741 collective hours. So that is going to do it for today's video on my top 10 most played PS4 games by total hours. If you do want to see more stuff like this, I'm going to be making even more content down the road, so stay tuned for more videos in the future, and I will see you all on the next video.